So yeah, essentially I'm from Rise. We're a high performance EVM compatible layer 2, and basically our goal is we want to unlock the next wave of on-chain applications. So how we do that is really through increasing throughput on-chain and reducing latency. And a bit about us, where we've got our testnet live already. At the moment, it's private. It'll be going public quite soon, and we'll be opening up to developers, etc., to build on it and users. We're backed by Finality, Vitalik, Polygon, and a bunch of other strong investors. A bit about myself. My background's in data science. So before coming to work in crypto and DeFi, I worked a bunch of different data science jobs. One was actually an interesting startup doing solar microgrid energy projects. I actually did some projects in the Philippines, in San Isidro, in Palawan, a small island there, if anyone knows that area. So I got to learn a bit about Philippines through that. And also that was kind of how I got into crypto, because saw a lot of issues with, I guess, traditional finance not really reaching certain parts of the world. For example, like in Nigeria, you see a lot of people use crypto just because their currency is not stable enough. And with everyone now having mobile access to the internet, so like huge opportunity for crypto. In 2021, launched RoboVault, delta neutral DeFi product. We got like pretty good traction to like 50 million TVL, but the product just wasn't viable. A lot of that due to the performance issues with blockchains. So we sunset that product 2023, 2024, did a bunch of like ongoing DeFi and AI stuff with various teams, and then joined Rise in late 2024 to work on the ecosystem side and the DeFi side. So yeah, I think like figured just because I'm much more on the DeFi background would give you guys paint a bit of a picture of like the history of DeFi and how it's gone. So this chart's like super interesting. It's just to look at the historical TVL of DeFi and how it's gone. So today we're at like over 100 billion, but still not like at the levels of what we were in peak period of like 2021, 2022. So like super early innovation in DeFi. 2015, Ethereum launched. We saw like a bunch of new products like come, like Maker. They like established these CDPs. Aave and Compound established lending. Had the first version of Uniswap, which kind of built this AMM product where users could trade, but it was still like not heavily adopted. TVL was less than $1 billion. Then we had DeFi Summer. So yeah, in 2020, DeFi Summer really like started to kick things off. So Uniswap launched their V2, Curve launched their ANM, a bunch of products started launching like new things. All these new money logos came, and DeFi like skyrocketed to over 10 billion, which was like pretty wild. Just like seeing that growth in such a short period. And then like following period, we saw like more money logos. One thing we started to see was like initially like all this DeFi was happening on Ethereum, but just like the gas prices were going crazy. I'm not sure if anyone used Ethereum in this time, but sometimes it would cost like over $100 just to do a simple swap, just because the gas was there and the chain didn't have the capacity. So we started to see all these new money logos come. We also started to see like new layer ones using the EVM pop up. We started to see layer twos as well, like Arbitrum Optimism pop up. Yeah, and then 2023 till now, there's been, I'd say, a bit of a lull. So a lot of that was due to external market forces. So I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with the Luna crash and also then the FTX crash, where, you know, like billions of dollars were basically like wiped due to, I guess, in Luna's case, bad protocol design. In FTX case, like shady practices by a centralized exchange. But yeah, I guess like breaking this down, kind of the first version of DSAT, someone we really saw like how money Legos fuel growth, like the modular vision where different protocols can interact with each other in a composable environment. There's no real barriers because they're all on the same chain. Can actually like build some really innovative stuff. Second version, we saw like cheaper chains really like help to start scale things out. And I guess the question is now like, what is actually next for DeFi? So like one thing that has really like been constant in driving DeFi adoption has been on-chain trading. So with the initial versions of Uniswap and like Curve, using the constant product formulas to like allow users to freely provide liquidity and trade, that brought a lot of activity on chain. And then Uniswap innovated with their Uni v3, and now they've actually got Uni v4, which has some pretty cool stuff. Then there's also been some innovation on like perpetuals with like teams like GMX. But yeah, the big thing is like all these are like automated market makers. There's no like order books on chain really, aside from Hyperliquid. And basically, like, why is that the case? The reason is the chains just can't support that. And big reason for this is like just the lack of performance of current chains. They don't have the throughput or the latency to compete with centralized exchanges. So we see, if we look at the historical volume of on-chain volume versus off-chain volume, it's like the volume for centralized exchange is still much higher. So there's still like a ton of work to do, in our opinion. But we think the tech is about to really be unlocked to really like flip this. So yeah, like the missing link today really is like high performance chains. We've seen like some examples of it. So for example, you can see here like it's growing. For example, there's Solana, which has got a lot of like trading volume in the meme coin industry, like sector, and then there's like also Hyperliquid, which is like seeing a ton of growth, but there's like a few issues with that. In our opinion, it's like as builders, from our experience, the EVM is like a far better place to innovate, and like historically it's always been leading innovation for on-chain applications, not just DeFi but other sectors of like just on-chain apps like NFTs, GameFi, etc. And then with Hyperliquid, they are launching an EVM on their layer 1, but it'll be isolated from their order book exchange. So like we really see like the missing link being in a high performance EVM chain. So today, like on our testnet, we're already getting over 50k TPS, which translates to like 2 gigagas per second. And if you compare that to like other EVM layer 2s that are live, that's a huge step up in terms of like what we can do. Today, like our latency is less than 1 second, but the goal is to really get it like super low, less than 10 milliseconds. Yeah, how do we do this? So like on the tech side, it's really 2 things. So execution and state access. So we do parallelized execution, we do like continuous execution. And then on the state access side, which is really like how data is like accessed, we have like a bunch of innovations there. We've built all this on top of RETH, which is basically like a client built by Paradigm, and basically like we're building all this in the open. In terms of like data availability, we're using Celestia there. And then the other interesting thing is we'll be doing base sequencing, which has like a ton of advantages for like solving UX problems and actually like making sure as a layer 2, we are secure and can inherit Ethereum security. So I guess, yeah, now that we're on the verge of really like achieving this high level of performance where we can start to compete with centralized applications, what can we do in terms of like what apps can we actually build? What can we see happening? So yeah, like on the club side, like central limit order books, showed that chart before of the like daily volume where the on-chain volume was just like a small fraction of off-chain volume. There's just like a huge market that's going to open up for people to start really building on-chain trading apps that can compete with, you know, like the Binances, the Coinbases, the OKXs of the world. So that's one big opportunity we see. But then things like decentralized, like social applications. There's been some interesting things like pop up, like for example, Friend Tech was an interesting one. There's been some more, but just because of the lack of capacity that the current chains have, they can't really scale to like a global social network. But you know, when with this much bigger improvement, like 100x plus throughput and low latency, we can actually like see all of these things become possible. Yeah, and then like Web3 gaming is another like big one. There has been like some pretty interesting gaming stuff, but just with low latency, without the low latency, it's like quite hard to like have something that does have a good UX. So we do see some like pretty huge opportunities there. And then yeah, just like there's a ton of more things that just probably haven't been thought up. Like when Ethereum was first designed, they didn't really envision DeFi to be such a big use case. So it could actually be that, you know, something completely different takes off, like something AI related, etc. But we do really see that by really getting this 100x improvement in throughput and significant reductions in latency, we can really just unlock the next wave of applications. So yeah, I mean, but what about the UX? I'm sure a lot of you guys would agree, like on-chain UX is still pretty crap. If you're doing anything in DeFi or anything on-chain, still like very clunky. If you're using like multiple chains, you have to have like gas on every single chain. That's just like quite annoying. So one big thing we're doing is base sequencing. Mentioned that earlier. That basically means that a lot of rollups today, essentially all of them, they'll have like a centralized sequencer, which is posting the data like to the layer 1. With base sequencing, basically it's L1, people on the L1 can permissionlessly participate in the sequencing. And this basically means that we can actually like see rollups basically be composable, where you could potentially do a transaction that interacts with multiple L2s and the L1 at the same time. So we think that's like quite huge. So for example, if you're, say, someone built an app game on a chain that needed to swap assets, they could then, with base sequencing, plug into Rise and complete a swap on Rise in the same transaction, and then that goes back without them ever having to bridge over to Rise. Then EIP 7702 is something like that's about to be launched, and basically will like take away a ton of the friction just related to signing transactions, gas fees, etc. So I think basically like combining really like high performance, low latency with these like really big improvements on the UX side can actually create an environment where we can create apps that can truly scale. I think there's like a statistic today that right now 500 million people own crypto in some form, but only 7 million like actually have ever done actually actively do things on chain. So even though like so many people own crypto, no one's doing things on chain. And we really think that with this step up in improvement in both UX and performance, we can actually really start to scale that up. So like we do have our testnet live. It's currently like private, but we can give access to builders. The plan is to make it public in the next 1 to 2 months. We do have a builder competition that will be like opening as well. Right now on the testnet, we're currently getting 50k TPS, 1 second block time, and by mainnet plan to obviously scale that up even more with a lot of the stuff we've got planned on the dev side. If you're a builder and you've ever built on any other EVM chain, like we're fully EVM compatible, so this is just going to be the same DevX for you. It's going to be like super simple. Even if you have an application that you built somewhere else, you could potentially just deploy it on Rise and take advantage of our high performance. So in terms of like the builder competition specifically, we do have early registrations are open. There'll be multiple seasons with prizes like for a few different categories, like novel applications, community favorites, and most usage. And we're really keen to just like onboard builders that do want to like unlock the next wave of on-chain applications that can actually help scale not just DeFi but crypto to the masses. And feel free to contact us for testnet access. You can get in touch. This is my Twitter and Telegram handle. And build. And I'll also share in the chat the links for the testnet competition as well. If anyone's got any questions, feel free to shoot them over. Happy to answer.
Awesome. First of all, Matt, thank you for being here with us. I'm personally excited for Rice. So probably my first question is, does Rice mean something like the RISE? Does it mean?
So it stands for Realized Internet Scale Ethereum. So right now, with the current throughput of blockchains, it's just the scale isn't there. So maybe let me try and find a diagram. But essentially, like we want to realize internet scale Ethereum, like actually get Ethereum to a scale where we can actually onboard a ton more applications and actually like really truly build the Web3. That's our vision.
Cool. Guys, anyone? Do you have any questions? How about you, Pat? Do you have a question? There we go. From Renzo. Layer 2s as of now are really saturated. What makes Rice special?
So I think I guess there's two sides to this. First being just like the performance side. We are going to have like significantly better performance than all the existing layer 2s that are currently live, which we believe is just like that is going to unlock a ton of new applications. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing, because there are a number of other chains that are also focused on performance, like MegaETH. Monad isn't a layer 2, but they're a EVM layer 1. And there's Sonic, that's also a layer 1 focused on performance. Probably the biggest thing that differentiates us to those guys is the base sequencing, which we we're super confident that this is gonna enable uh, a future on chain where you do have like composability. Like basically, yeah, what Renzo said, like L2s are really saturated right now. There's like this fragmentation issue, but we think like base sequencing and as base roll up, this can actually really solve this. I can
Mm, did we lost you, Matt? Hopefully you're still there. Mm, all right. Na-close na yung browser niya. He's rejoining, guys. So,
So, ayan. While waiting, guys, drop kayo ng questions niya para ma-ask natin pagbalik ni Sir Matt.
there we go.
Hey guys, sorry. Yeah, something happened and my browser crashed. But I was just gonna show on the base sequencing side some things that I guess make it a bit more, uh, yeah, clear why it's important. So like for L2s, this is kind of if you're launching a new chain, there's like a few different options, but with base rollups, you maximize like the network effect because there's interrupt between other layer twos that are based and the layer one itself. Uh, this is like still quite early in the tech cycle because there's still like a bunch of things that need to be built to like make this happen. But yeah, where like basically the performance, etc., uh, and the fact that we're going to be based are the biggest differentiators. Uh, cool. The chat cut out, but I can just say your question, Renzo, and things that are not yet built on Rise. I'm not sure exactly what that's referring to.
Hmm. Yeah, I think the first sentence goes like, what are the pain points of rice for devs
Yeah.
and
Okay.
consumers and the ecosystem as a whole?
Yeah. So I think for like, I mean, for builders, it's going to be super seamless for builders, like developing applications on Rise. It's like the same DevX as any other EVM chain, just with like high performance, low latency, because we're fully EVM compatible. So I think it's like very seamless. And I mean, I'd say just from me being someone who's built a DeFi app before, uh, yeah, like the pain points are often not with tech itself. It's often just growth, security, etc. Yeah, but I think yeah. So that's potentially not the best answer, but yeah, in terms of like ecosystem, yeah, where we have like a ton of teams already committed, etc. But it's still like early because we're only just opening up our test net. But we already do have quite a few teams like building across like both DeFi, NFT, etc. Yeah. But yeah, feel free to ask your question again, Renzo, in case I missed it, just because I left the meeting, so cut out.
Yeah, Renzo, maybe you can ask Matt yourself. You're open to speak up.
Hello, hello, hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I was just thinking from like the point of view of someone who's really a beginner and wanted to do something novel for this particular blockchain. I was thinking of like what are the things that hasn't been made, or like no one's picking up the a project yet for this particular consumer app? What do you think is a really good project to put up in this chain?
Yeah, I think there's some super interesting opportunities on the gaming side. I think that's like some super cool stuff that can be done there. Uh, the AI side, there's like some interesting opportunities to explore there as well. Some socialify stuff as well could be pretty interesting, like potentially trying to take what Friendtech build but fix up a bunch of mechanics. Yeah, I mean, I guess it really depends which vertical, because there's so many different verticals you can explore. And I mean, from my experience, like building stuff, I would say, you know, you want to build something you're like most interested in personally. You know, it's much better to find something you're like passionate about and interested in. Like, could even be something like payments, remittance. Like, that could be super interesting because with, you know, low fees, much higher throughput, low latency, it actually becomes much more viable to use stablecoins for payments, remittance. Yeah, even things like stablecoin projects and like uh, stablecoins for various countries could be interesting combined with payments. Yeah, I think there's an infinite number of opportunities. But yeah, I'd just say whatever you're passionate about. To be honest.
Cool stuff. Yeah. How about with regards to the testnet access, Matt? Do you have like a list of requirements before someone requests access to testnet?
So if you go to our docs, we have basically, I'll just send a link to it now. We have a specific Discord for builders. So, or you could just DM me. Like, basically, we just do like quick vetting to make sure you're like a legitimate builder, etc. So there is in here. There's a link to a specific builder community. You can jump in there and just like post like your GitHub or whatever, or drop a few lines, and then we'll share the like RPC details, etc., and send over some gas. If anyone wants to join our actual Discord though, because that's just for the builder community, I'll just share that in the chat as well. This is like our community Discord. Yeah. So the builder community is just if you're a developer, or also if you want to learn to be a developer, we're also like welcoming people who want to learn, like regardless of skill level. And yeah, feel free to just like DM me as well, Renzo.
Cool stuff. Yeah. Maybe you'd like to invite them. Is the registration for the Mammothon? Because you're one of the tracks organizer, right, in Mammothon?
Yep,
Is that
correct. Yes, I think the Mammothon registration might be closed now, but I could be wrong. Am I still sharing my screen, by the way?
Yeah, we can still see it.
Cool. Nice. Didn't realize. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if the registration's still open. Yeah, so it's closed
too
now.
bad.
Yeah, so the competition is still ongoing, but the registration's closed. But yeah, basically our builder comp will be opening. Like, we don't have a specific date for now, just because there's still some final stuff to make sure the testnet's really really stable. But yeah, this will be open. Target is like late next few weeks, ideally. But yeah, don't want to promise
yeah,
us.
I saw.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the competition we'll be running ourselves. Yeah, I can just send a link to this. as well. I think I already did. Yeah, any other questions anyone's got?
Maybe last one from me, Matt. Is there like a target for mainnet in terms of mainnet launch?
It's pretty hard to put dates on it, and I mean there is, but not sure if I can. Nothing that we're sharing externally, just because I'm sure you guys know with like engineering, the further out something is, the more unexpected things happen. But yeah, it should be like not too far away. But yeah,
Cool.
yeah, things can always go wrong with engineering, and obviously we don't want to rush to get the product out, because obviously security is like super important with blockchains. So yeah, there could be things that can slow us down. So yeah, sorry, I can't give a better answer on that.
No worries, Matt. No worries. All right. That's all from my end. Anyone else got some burning questions with them? How about you, Pat? You can
So
ask
far,
Matt
all goods na
anything.
po. So any more questions, guys? I think we could close it na, Sir Mark.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Sir Matt.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks guys. Appreciate it. And yeah, feel free to just jump in like our Discord, hit us up. Yeah, hit me up personally as well. Always happy to help, answer questions or direct you, whatever it is. But yeah, appreciate you guys having me.